Welcome to the second episode of ReGroup. I'm super excited to be joined by Amrita from our Shanghai office, our CEO of APAC and China for Mindshare. Amrita, how are we doing out there?
Hi, Christian. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going a little stir crazy, but how are things out in your region?
Well, mixed bag. I think if you're in Shanghai, it's all almost back to normal. You know, we're back in the office. That's where I am right now. But if you're in Singapore, you're kind of where you are, which is going stir crazy because the circuit breaker has been extended. So a mixed bag.
Right. Yeah. I see you've got a sign behind you there. What's that say?
So that says adapt in English and Chinese, and I guess appropriate for the times.
It is, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about how you guys adapted, and you're, like you said, you're coming out of it and you're seeing people back in the offices. I think some of our people are dreaming of being back in the offices, and some of our people have really adapted well to remote working and are looking forward to not having a commute. So tell us what it's been like there and what insights you might have.
Sure. I think we're now at the stage where actually you have almost fond memories when you were at home and when you were working remotely. As always, with distance and time, it feels a lot less than it was in the moment. So when we look back now, it feels like, oh, wasn't that an excellent time where we got to spend time more at home, where we got to spend time with our families, where we got to, manage stuff remotely. And it all still worked. We did pitches, we did everything remotely, and it seemed to work. But it's surprising how quickly you get back to normal and how quickly you kind of get back to everything being almost exactly the same as it was before, apart from, masks and being really careful in elevators and in public spaces. It's kind of almost exactly back to normal, at least in Shanghai.
And I know you had some pitches that went on during that time period, and I know you were successful at some of them. Tell me a little bit about what that was like, and while we're going through that in the rest of the world, what kind of tips might you have for that?
I think we learned that actually pitching remotely is quite fun and arguably much less stressful, because all you have is this one screen to talk to. There's not an intimidating room for a lot of our people with, a large number of people looking at them and watching their every move. So actually people felt a lot less intimidated, a lot less scared. They could have, their notes next to them and there wasn't an issue. But man, oh man, do you have to prep on the tech. Main computer, backup computer, somebody logging into the Teams chat, somebody else, monitoring what you look like. We even had in a couple of the pitches, we had like masking tape on the ground so that people stayed within their box. Because quite frankly, you'd have people suddenly start presenting over there and you're like, there is no one over there. Come back to the screen. And my favorite tip is putting a set of eyes where the camera on the computer is. So we had a bunch of pair of eyes that were on the camera computer, because otherwise people would start presenting to the room like this, forgetting
I can imagine.
Audiences. Yeah. So
I've got a tip for you. I have a new family member from about a month ago, and I just recommend not bringing this guy to a meeting. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a 13-week-old puppy. And as I've been trying to have a conversation with you, he's been biting me incessantly. So if you've seen grimaces in my face, it has nothing to do with the questions, the answers. But I would leave puppies out of the way if at all possible.
But I felt at least that I loved the fact that I got to see everybody's kids and dogs and houses and, rooms, and you got to know so much about people that you really didn't know before, what characters their kids are and what they do inside their homes, who's the cooking fanatic, who's the neatness fanatic. You got to know so many things about the people you work with.
That's true. I think we saw a lot of grimaces for different reasons and a lot of smiles for different reasons from people. I was talking to one of our clients out in the Bay Area, and his wife just would kind of pop back behind you. Oh, hi, Christian. Nice to see you. What's going on? And it was good. It's good to see people in their own environments. And hopefully we all come out of this a little more human, a little more connected in that way.
Indeed.
So talk to us about, the remote working. You're back in the office. You run a really big region. What would you say in terms of, team members that have really inspired you? anything like that, just as you reflect on your team and your clients, talk to us about what's really working.
I would say that in terms of inspiring team members, the first group, in two parts, the people in our teams who came from Wuhan and Hubei. So there was a lot of them that went back before the lockdown in Wuhan and Hubei in China. And there were many who made the decision not to go during Chinese New Year to see their family because they were starting to hear news reports come out of Wuhan and Hubei. In both cases, I mean, they're pretty inspirational, that bunch. So you look at a group of people who went home, had basically to see their family, and didn't then get to come back for almost now close to 3 months. They're just starting to come back to work. And it was inspiring because even though whatever they were going through, they didn't let a ball drop work-wise. And, I was in a panic because I couldn't get my daughter to China for 2 weeks. And then I was in a panic, when India had a lockdown because my mom's there. And, each time I would panic, I would think about these guys and say, be quiet to myself and say, you have no idea what they've gone through and you've no idea of the conception of kind of how they've continued to work through. So I think that group of people, and also the group of people who made the decision, to stay back in their working cities and not go back to Wuhan and Hubei because they were disconnected from their families for such a long time. Yeah. I think in both respects, that group of people is really my gold standard for inspiration because, first to go through it, first to go through everything. But my God, what amazing people.
Well, when you talk about adapting and resiliency, I mean, I think, we're all feeling that right now, that staying flexible and being available for change and really embracing that and figuring out new ways of working and being open with people. It's a lot of the values that, we've tried to put together at GroupM. So I think clearly it's working. Talk to me a little about your personal experience. I mean, you're now the CEO for APAC in China. You've had a great career. Talk to us about sort of what brought you here and how you've succeeded in such a strong fashion.
Okay. I hate talking about myself, just as a general rule.
Well, I think a lot of people look up to you. I think a lot of people say, how do I get to be in that type of position? And you're a great leader within GroupM and within WPP. And I think it's great if you can talk about that. So I know it's hard, but
I would say, so my first experience, I would say that coming to China changed my life, right? It was the most significant career decision I made. And still to date, whoever I talk to within the company, I always tell them, come do a year, come do 2 years, come do 3 years, come spend a part of your life here, because you just have no conception of the pace of change here and how you really get challenged in new ways. So coming to China changed my life. And I came to China actually as the then trailing spouse. I didn't have a job here. And I didn't have a job here, and GroupM won the Nestle business back in 2005, and they were looking for people to hire, and therefore I was in the right place at the right time. And thereafter, I would say my career has been simply about saying yes to really difficult jobs that people like Nick and Ashu have put in front of me, and embracing it and then working your tail off. So it's been pretty much as simple as that, is when somebody puts down a career opportunity in front of you and maybe you're not ready for it in your own head. And you think that, I don't know whether I want to do it. It's going to be hard to just embrace it, try your best, and you never know what you can do.
Yeah. I mean, there's the amazing group of leaders that I've had the pleasure working with across GroupM. I think a lot of them would share that same sentiment, is don't worry so much about title or clients or location. Find new experiences and big challenges, and you'll learn a lot through that process, and that in turn propels your career forward.
Whenever someone gives you a job that scares the daylights out of you, say yes.
Well, I'm still having the daylight scared out of me on a regular basis, so I'll take that advice right now. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time with us today. And, it's really a pleasure to have you in our second episode. We're going to keep going with these and try to bring people forward from around the world. But you've certainly been a wonderful guest to have on. And I wish you all the best, you and the region ahead.
Thanks, Christian.